Hello and welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to set the groundwork for our deployment by deploying a virtual network. In order to do that, we'll also need to learn how to reference attributes of other resources. So let's get started. All right, so we've got the documentation, which is where we always start, right here. Now, there are some notes here, and eventually these may be deprecated, but for right now, they are fairly important. Some of the demos and examples are going to show inline subnets. We're actually not going to do that. We're going to specify our subnet as a separate resource. That gives us more control over the resource itself, how it relates to things, its dependencies, and lots of other little benefits that you'll see as you start to build your own larger deployments. So as you can see here, this note covers that standalone subnet resource and some of the pitfalls. So let's scroll down to this example here. Now we're not going to use a lot of this, as you know, as I just mentioned. Their subnets are in line, so we're not going to do that. We're not going to worry about the DNS servers. We're going to keep it pretty simple with just name, resource group name, location, address space, and tags. Now one thing you can take a look at here, the resource group name references the resource group. As you can see, Azure RM resource group .example .name. So it is a resource Azure RM resource group .example .name. So we've got the resource type, the resource alias that we provided to it, and then one of the attributes, all using a dot syntax. And then the same is specified with location. So let's go ahead and do this ourselves. So I'm going to roll this back over and let's get to coding. So we will specify a resource just like so. Once again, in quotes for the resource type, Azure RM virtual network, just like so. And I'm just going to give it an alias of mtc-vn and then open and close our braces. And then within here, we need to specify a name, and that we'll just call MTC network. Again, I'm being a little more detailed with my name within the resource itself, but the alias doesn't need to be as long. So the name, MTC network. Then we provide the resource group name, just like so. So that's going to be Azure RM, and we can actually take a shortcut. I'm just going to press down and tab right there to tab complete that. So Azure RM resource group, just like this, Azure RM resource group .mtc-rg, which is this here, .name. Now you could also just specify MTC resources if you wanted to, but you don't want to define the same thing in multiple places, because if we were to change MTC resources, we'd have to change it in every resource that references it. Now, another reason why it's important to reference resources by their resource address instead of by hard coding them is because this creates an implicit dependency. Basically, now this network will not deploy before this resource group has been created. And the same whenever we destroy. It will not destroy this resource group until this virtual network is destroyed. So by referencing this resource group from the virtual network, we tell Terraform that this virtual network is dependent on this resource group. So now let's specify a location. And that's going to be very similar to this. So I'm actually just going to copy this, paste it down here, and add .location, which again is defined here as East US. And then what we want to do is specify the address space, also known as a CIDR block. The address space is, and this is actually a list. You can specify multiple address spaces here, but we're just going to use one. We're going to use 10.123.0.0/16. And if you're not familiar with subnets, I strongly recommend you review them. Feel free to reach out if you'd like any tips or where to start. And then under that, let's add some tags. I'm actually going to give a little bit of space between my details and the tags here. And once again, environment equals dev. And you could copy and paste that too if you want to. All right, I think that's everything. Let's go ahead and run our Terraform format. And after that, let's run our Terraform plan. Okay, we're seeing a lot of green here. That is good. We've got one resource to add. Looks like everything we specified. As you can see, we'll also have access to information about the DNS servers after apply, the GUID, the ID, and the subnets here, but possibly after you apply. So that's great. Let's go ahead and get this network deployed. So Terraform apply. And as I said, we're just going to use a dash auto approve here. And if you want to see everything else, you can actually do a dash help. And you can see lots of great options here. But right now, we're just going to focus on applying. So Terraform apply dash auto approve. Feel free to pause the video while yours is applying and then come on back whenever it is finished. All right, 1 added, 0 changed, 0 destroyed. Let's go take a look. Here I am in my resources group here. I'm actually just going to go back to home real quick. Click over here to the left just so we can see how to get to it the long way. Going to click on virtual networks. And there it is, MTC-network. Everything looks like it's here. We've got our address space, DNS servers, location. Everything looks great. So wonderful. Go ahead and mark this lesson complete. Come on back to the next one and let's dive a little bit into the state and take a larger look at what we just built.